to know what sucks? It's cold, obviously. Can't zoom in this mode. So I'm out here cutting firewood, trying to get some stuff finished up. Working fine. Let me turn the camera around. So, got the old corn conveyor. Running with the paylax, processing out. Some sticks are falling on the ground. Won't zoom, my hands are froze. Some sticks are falling on the ground, and so I go to pick them up so that they don't get caught in the chain and run around the shaft. But when I go to grab one gets caught around the chain, runs around the shaft, and now I believe we have a repair to make. So now I got to pull the whole friggin' thing apart so I can get the shaft apart so I can weld this all back up. Yeah, that's thrilling, huh? Okay, let's see what we got. I disconnected the tarp from here, the conveyor belt from here. I added this stuff in so sticks don't get caught. So I figured. There's this guard thing that's in there, and the shaft runs this pulley, so I can't even fix that shaft without a hole. But I might be able to get the bolt out of that side and slide the whole shaft straight out this way. Yeah, this is fun. Okay, not as ugly as I thought so far. This thing here, I just took a cold chisel and cut the bolt off, which went through the shaft right here. Took the thing off and then slide the bearing out of the hole. Sorry. Okay, so here's these things just sit on the shaft and run the chain, right? So this one here, despite being several decades old, is okay. Oh, what the heck? Oh, that's not new either. That's interesting. I don't think they sell them at the store. Anyway, now haul it all in and start to fabricate up a new one, I guess. Unless I find myself a new shaft. Replace the whole thing. Well, the plot thickens. Look at this bearing. That's pretty poor, huh? This one's not at, well, it is. That's a pretty crummy bearing. The shaft is even worse. This is where it's broken. Look at the hole. That's a little wore out. This is where the bearing was. You can see it's been rebuilt and fixed. And same here. This bearing here has been the same, and the shaft hole is wore. And the good one, like this is where the bolt was running, is on this little spot here. And the good one here is same thing. Look at how far, they're wore out a little bit. Anyway, my brother might have another one of these. Didn't have any at the parts store at the place where he could order them. So it's I need 24 inches of shaft, at least. But I think I'm gonna replace as opposed to try to rebuild this. If that's the option, this is pretty ugly. So new bearings and new shaft, and replace at least one of these. So far, that's what I think I'll do. So found some new sprockets, but there's 7 instead of 6. One of them is a 15/16. The other one's 1 inch. So maybe we might be both 1 inch. So this is the 1 inch one. You can see it's got lots and lots of wear. These are hooked in like that, but if we run it the other way, so that it's on the new side of the shoulder, then they both should be pretty even. They're both 7 tooth sprocket instead of 6. So I guess that would slow it down a tiny bit for the same RPM. No. How's that work? I guess, or speed up. So, of course, these sprockets are a different size. too wide, they don't fit, won't let the bearing fit. So we've got to take a 1/4 inch off in order for them to be usable. And live with how it fits. Okay, final product and the reasons. We got these sprockets instead of the originals. Those are 6 tooth and these are 7. So I found one on an old combine, dug around and found another one. But then when we went to rebuild, because the shaft was so wore out in all kinds of places besides being broken and everything else, and these are really sloppy, and this piece of course is broken, right? So the shaft is driving the sprocket, driving the chain, so you're really pushing on 1/2 of a broken bolt on here. So then to figure out how to fix this so that it's not floppy on a new shaft is kind of ridiculous and difficult. So we decided we'll use these. They were originally had a bolt for both sides, but if you build it that way, the fixed point must be the bearings on the outside of the conveyor, and in order to have these where they belong, can't be done. So we had to machine the sides of these off, so now there's only one drive hole through the shaft. These are 1/4 inch instead of 5/16 like those ones, but nonetheless. So I found I forgot one bearing at my brother's, of course, but I did find that I had a new one, and I finally found where I'd placed it carefully. So we'll just same sprocket, new hole with the same size bolt, new hole and everything, of course, on all the shafts, new bearing, new sprockets that are 7. So they're larger diameter, so I'm probably gonna have to modify where they spin in the conveyor just a tiny bit. New shaft. I only have one bearing, so they only turn slow, so I'll clean this bearing up, put her in, then throw this in the scrap pile, unless somebody wants to, you know, I can ship it to you for a souvenir. But yeah, so this is what it is, and it all fits together. Now install it on the actual machine. Okay, well, you didn't get to watch the assembly, but it was pretty simple. Slid through. I did modify, I cut this a little bit further, bigger throat, so that, because these teeth are slightly longer. It was about a 1/4 inch, but I cut those back a little bit on both sides. I don't know if you can see in here where my finger is, just so that the teeth wouldn't hit. Got the pins in there. Bearing on this side, the shaft used to be out 4 inches longer with who knows why, but anyway, so here we are, move the pulley, and so now I'll tighten up the chains on the other end of the conveyor up there, where there's the springs on both sides. Put the conveyor belt back onto that other paddle, and hopefully we're back in business. I hope. So if it works really well, then I'll show you a little bit of a video, and if I have some train wreck, I maybe won't. You know how that goes. The shame of, oh, I didn't actually think of that. But I think I did, so we're good. So my helper here, she figures she has to be nearby at all moments. So I guess she can supervise, see if it's working when I fire it back up. Problem number 1. It piles into there. So take these off and put a carriage bolt on that's like this. But in the meantime, this is just extra security, so I can take it off and then see if that's all.